So what is the federal plan? Can more be done to de-escalate? Is it time for the federal government to lay out some kind of post-pandemic future? Let's find out. Joining me now is the Public Safety Minister, Marco Mendicino. Minister, good to have you back on the program. The RCMP is now sending more officers to help with the ongoing convoy in Ottawa and the protest there. The police have said that this is slipping beyond their control. It may be beyond the police mandate. What security forces are needed now to handle this?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that the RCMP has been there working closely with the Ottawa Police Service, which is the police of jurisdiction. I had a conversation with Mayor Jim Watson where he articulated a request for support. After that, I was able to confirm the RCMP will be adding boots to the ground to contribute additional support as part of a surge of enforcement, which we need, Evan. You've seen what it's like on the ground. It's very troubling. There have been plenty of examples of threatening, intimidation. We've seen Confederate flags and swastikas flying on the Hill. It's unacceptable. And for a convoy that said that they were about freedom, many examples where they're stripping away the freedoms of the good people who live in Ottawa. We live in a country that is based on the rule of laws. And look, people are entitled to have the law enforced. No one is above the rule of law, Evan.
Okay, but there's a question about why the law is not being enforced. So there's one. And a lot of folks who are frustrated that this has happened. It's been allowed to go on for 7 days. People are not getting prosecuted for breaking the law. And they lay this at the feet of you and your government. Why? They say when you remove the exemption at the border for cross-border trucking, which was the spark that started these protests, you didn't see this coming. You underestimated it. You should have had a smoother rollout. You shouldn't have demonized those who didn't want to get unvaxxed. And you polarized it, causing this. What's your response to that?
There's no justification for violence. There's no justification for going out and threatening and intimidating. And there's certainly no justification for the expressions of hate that we have seen on Parliament Hill, the cradle of our democracy. So you can disagree with vaccinations. You can disagree with vaccination mandates. That's part of a democracy. But it never entitles you to strip away the freedoms and the liberties to the extent that we have seen.
Minister, the police chief in Ottawa said there's money coming in from the United States to support this protest. We also know that the enforcement agencies are working with the U.S. Homeland Security. Can give us a sense of what specific threats would Homeland Security in the U.S. be worried about? What kind of money is coming in? Give us a sense of who's supporting this and what you know right now.
Well, it wouldn't be for me to comment on an ongoing investigation, but I will say this, that, in the abstract, anytime that you have money coming in that could be used to undermine public safety, that there are important questions to be asked about where that money is coming from and what it's being used. And certainly, if there is evidence, then we fully expect that the police will take the appropriate steps. I also think it's an important development that, as we see in reports, that Gofundme has said that they're going to be turning that money back. Certainly, from their point of view, that means that they had sufficient concerns as to the sources of what those contributions were. And look, at the end of the day, we trust the police will follow that evidence.
Let's just talk about Gofundme is frozen the $9 million. They've distributed $1 million, and now they're saying that they've frozen the $9 million. They're deeply concerned about where it's going and where it's come from, and they may send it to charities. They're saying we have evidence from law enforcement that previously peaceful demonstrations have become an occupation with police reports of violence and other unlawful activity. Can you give us a sense of was your government involved working with Gofundme? And I know MPs have invited representatives of Gofundme to testify. What questions do you have?
Well, look, the committee will do its work independently, and I'm happy to see that they are going to be studying what is a very concerning issue. And I think that the statement that you read out from Gofundme and the reports that have flowed speak for themselves. I mean, clearly there were flags. There were flags as to what the source of those funds were. And I think there were equally, very likely, if you, on a plain reading of Gofundme's statement, there were real concerns about what that money would be used towards. And this is obviously completely in contrast to the statements that were being made by some of the leaders of this convoy.
A lot of people are saying, okay, I want a plan from your side. What's the plan to get out of this? A lot of people have done their bit. They say, freedom should belong to the vaccinated who took the jab once, twice, 3 times. They're still under restrictions, but they're frustrated as well. does the federal government have an obligation to set out a better plan to tell a lot of frustrated folks who may not like the convoy, but we need a plan out of this?
Evan, throughout the pandemic, we've been very transparent and laid out the case for our strategy to deal with the pandemic, and that is vaccinations, and the evidence has resolved that debate. You can hold a vigorous disagreement. You can say you want to ignore the evidence, but what you can't then do is take that disagreement and manifest it in the kind of significant disruption and flagrant disregard for the law and the blockades at borders, which has a serious impact on the economy.
But let's be fair. There was an exemption for cross-border truckers until 2 weeks ago. Like, let's be clear. Advocating for vaccines and having a mandate are two different things. Is the government at all considering changing any mandates?
Evan, throughout the course of the pandemic, we've followed the best advice that we've gotten. We've had restrictions in place. In some cases, we've lifted them. That's always been our North Star. I beg your pardon. Look, I'm an optimist. I think at the end of the day, we want to all get back to life as normal. All we're saying as a government is that we believe vaccinations is the gateway to that. And Evan, I mean, to your point about transparency and leadership, we put this on the ballot. And we gave Canadians the freedom to choose, and they chose vaccines, and to 90%, we've taken it up. Truckers to 90% have taken up vaccinations. Right. Now, the small minority that don't want to agree and don't want to make the sacrifices that we have made, they're fine to hold that view. But what they can't do is strip away freedoms from other Canadians.
All right, Marco Mendicino, Public Safety Minister. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Evan.